The shuttle moved slowly toward the celestial spire. Ambassador pressed her face against the window like a child seeing snow for the first time. The station was massive beyond anything she had imagined. It stretched across the darkness of space like a city made of light and metal. Towers reached upward into the void. Bridges connected floating platforms. Ships from 100 different species should have been flying in and out of its many docking ports. But there were no ships. The docking ports were empty. The lights still glowed, but nothing moved. Felt a cold feeling in her stomach. Something was wrong. "Captain, are you seeing this?" she asked into her communication device. Captain David, who commanded their small diplomatic vessel, answered immediately. "I see it, Ambassador. No traffic, no communication signals, nothing." Had waited her entire career for this moment. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel 200 years ago. They were the youngest species in the galaxy. The Galaxy Council, made up of 12 ancient species who had ruled the stars for 40,000 years, had finally invited humans to observe their great assembly. It was supposed to be the most important day in human history. Instead, found only silence. The shuttle docked with a soft sound. The doors opened, stepped out with her team of 5 people. There was their engineer, doctor who studied alien minds, Lieutenant James Wright, their security officer, and 2 junior diplomats who looked as scared as felt. The docking bay was enormous. It could hold 1,000 ships, but it was completely empty. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. "Hello," called out. Her voice bounced off the distant walls. No one answered. They walked deeper into the station. The halls were beautiful. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Artwork from a dozen civilizations decorated every surface. Recognized sculptures from the who were beings made of living crystal. She saw paintings from the whose 4 eyes could see colors humans could not imagine. She passed fountains built by the who lived in the oceans of their home world. But there were there was no one at all. "This is impossible," said. He was checking his scanner. "The life support systems are running, the power is on, everything is working, but there are no life signs, none." They reached the council chamber. It was the most sacred place in the galaxy. Here, the 12 elder species had made decisions that shaped the lives of trillions of beings. The room was circular, with 12 tall thrones arranged in a ring. Each throne was built in the style of its species. Some were made of crystal, some were filled with water, some floated in the air. All of them were empty. Walked to the center of the room. She turned in a slow circle, looking at each throne. The High Speaker should have been sitting in that crystal chair. The Wisdom Keeper should have been watching from that hovering platform. The Deep Voice should have been swimming in that water-filled sphere. "Where did they go?" Lieutenant Wright asked. His hand rested on his weapon, but there was nothing to shoot. Doctor was examining one of the control panels. "The logs have been erased," she said. "Someone deleted everything from the last 72 hours. "Deleted?" asked. "Who would do that?" "I do not know, but they did it on purpose. They did not want anyone to know what happened here." Was working on another panel. His fingers moved quickly across the alien controls. "I might be able to recover something. Give me a minute." Walked to the great window at the far end of the chamber. She looked out at the galaxy. Billions of stars stretched across the darkness. Somewhere out there, 12 species had vanished. Billions of beings had disappeared without leaving a trace. How was that possible? How could anyone make entire civilizations disappear? Her communication device made a sound. It was Captain. "Ambassador, we are receiving messages from other species. The younger races, they are scared. They are asking what happened to the council." "What should I tell them?" asked. "I was hoping you could tell me." Closed her eyes. Humanity had barely earned a seat at the table. They were still seen as primitive by the elder species. Too violent, too emotional, too short-lived. The council had invited them to observe, not to participate. Humans were supposed to watch and learn from their betters. Now their betters were gone. "Tell them we are investigating," said. "Tell them humanity will find answers." She was not sure if that was a promise she could keep. Ambassador called out, "I found something." Rushed to his side. The others gathered around, had managed to recover a single file from the deleted logs. It was a transmission from the High Speaker. The being had ruled the council for 3,000 years. His wisdom was legendary. His calm was unshakable. In the recording, his voice was filled with fear. "They are here," the High Speaker said. The recording was damaged. Static filled the gaps. "The old warnings were true. We thought they were myths. We were wrong. They have more static. The connection, the harmonic network, it called to them. We called to them. We brought this upon static again. Then clear as day, 3 final words. They have returned." The recording ended. No one spoke, felt the cold feeling in her stomach grow stronger. "Who returned?" Lieutenant Wright asked. "Who is he talking about?" "I do not know," admitted, "but we need to find out." Her communication device made another sound. This time, it was an alien voice. It spoke in the common trading language that all species used. "Human vessel, this is the Trade Collective. We demand to know what you have done with the Council." Recognized the accusation in the voice. They were one of the younger species. They had always been jealous of humanity's rapid advancement. They had opposed Earth's invitation to the Council. "We have done nothing," said. "We arrived to find the station empty." "Lies, you death have always wanted power. You have destroyed the Council to take their place." "That is ridiculous. We do not even know what happened." "Then you will be investigated. You will be judged. If you are guilty, you will be destroyed." The communication ended. Looked at her team. They looked back at her. They were 5 humans alone on an empty station at the center of the galaxy. Billions of beings had vanished. Ancient powers had apparently returned, and now other species were blaming humanity. "What do we do?" Doctor asked. Straightened her back. She thought about Earth. She thought about the billions of humans who were counting on her. She thought about her grandmother, who had told her stories about the old days before first contact, when humans had thought they were alone in the universe. "We find the truth," said. "We find out what happened to the Council, and we prove that humanity had nothing to do with it." "And if we cannot prove it?" asked. Looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, something terrible was hiding. Something that could make entire civilizations disappear. Something that had scared the most powerful being in the galaxy so badly that his voice had shaken with fear. "Then we do what humans have always done," she said. "We survive, we fight, and we refuse to give up." It was not much of a plan, but it was all she had. The investigation would begin at dawn, or whatever passed for dawn in the endless night between the stars. 6 weeks had passed since the Council vanished. The galaxy was falling into chaos. Without the elder species to keep order, old conflicts were returning. Trade routes were breaking down. Species that had lived in peace for thousands of years were now looking at each other with suspicion and fear. And still, no one knew what had happened. Captain stood on the bridge of the UNSC Defiance. It was one of Earth's warships, fast, strong, built for exploration and defense, had commanded it for 3 years. She had never expected to lead humanity's most important mission. "We are approaching Prime," her navigation officer reported. 10 minutes to orbit." Nodded. Prime was the home world of the species. They had been the leaders of the Galaxy Council. If anyone knew what had happened, it would be found there. But was not hopeful. Ambassador had sent reports from 11 other Council home worlds. They were all the same, empty, abandoned. Billions of beings had vanished without a trace. No bodies, no destruction, no explanation. "Captain," said Prometheus, the ship's artificial intelligence. Its voice came from speakers all around the bridge. "I am detecting unusual readings from the planet." "What kind of readings?" "Life signs. Negative, energy signature, stable, but there is something else. A quantum resonance pattern in subspace. It is very faint, I almost missed it. Leaned forward in her chair. Can you identify it? No, it does not match any known phenomenon in my database, but it is old, very old. My calculations suggest it has been present for at least 3 million years. 3 million years. That was before the Council existed, before any of the known species had developed space travel. That was older than recorded galactic history. Keep scanning, said. Let me know if you find anything else. The Defiance entered orbit around Prime. Through the viewing screen, could see the planet below. It was beautiful. They had built their civilization from living crystal. Their cities caught the light of their sun and scattered it into rainbows. Towers of red and blue and green stretched toward the sky. But there was no movement, no ships rising from the surface, no signals from the ground. The cities were as empty as the celestial spire. Landing team ready, Lieutenant Commander Jackson reported. He was second in command. A good soldier, calm under pressure. I am coming with you, said. Captain, regulations say. I know what regulations say. I am coming anyway. They took a shuttle down to the surface. The landing team included Jackson, Dr. Helena Frost, who was their chief scientist, and 8 Marines in full combat armor, wore a standard uniform with a sidearm. She was not expecting a fight. She was not sure what she was expecting. The shuttle landed in the central plaza of the capital city. Crystal towers surrounded them on all sides. The sunlight created dancing patterns of color on the ground. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it felt like a graveyard. Spread out, ordered. Search pattern Alpha, report anything unusual. The team moved through the city. They found homes with food still on tables. They found vehicles stopped in the middle of streets. They found personal items dropped on the ground, as if their owners had simply disappeared mid-step. No bodies, Dr. Frost said. She was scanning everything with her instruments. No signs of violence, no toxins in the air, no radiation, nothing that would explain this. It is like they just stopped existing, Jackson said. Walked into what appeared to be a school. Small chairs were arranged in circles. Toys were scattered on the floor. The children had been learning when it happened, whatever it was. She picked up one of the toys. It was a small crystal figure of an animal she did not recognize. Some child had held this, had played with this, had loved this. Where was that child now? Captain, one of the Marines was calling from outside. You need to see this. Hurried out. The Marine was pointing at the sky. High above them, barely visible in the daylight, there was a shape. It looked like a tear in the fabric of space itself. Dark, wrong. It made eyes hurt to look at it. Prometheus, she said into her communicator. Are you seeing this? Yes, Captain, it is the source of the quantum resonance. I am analyzing it now. The shape pulsed. For just a moment felt something, a pressure in her mind, a whisper at the edge of her thoughts. It was not words, it was more like a feeling. Cold, hungry, endless. Then it was gone, the shape faded. The sky returned to normal. What was that? Jackson asked. His voice was shaking slightly. I do not know, admitted, but I think we just found our first clue. They returned to the Defiance with everything they had gathered. Prometheus worked through the night, analyzing data. Could not sleep. She kept thinking about that pressure in her mind, that hungry feeling. In the morning, Prometheus called her to the science lab. I have found something, the AI said. The quantum resonance matches a signal we detected at the edge of the galaxy. It is coming from a structure in deep space, very far from any star, in the darkness between galaxies. What kind of structure? Unknown, but it is artificial. Someone built it a very long time ago. Made her decision quickly. Set a course, maximum speed. Captain, Jackson said, that is uncharted space. We do not know what is out there. Something took the council. something that has been hiding for 3 million years. If we want to find it, we need to go where it does not expect us to look. The journey took 2 weeks. They traveled farther from known space than any human ship had ever gone. The stars grew thin. The darkness grew deep. Felt like they were sailing off the edge of the map into waters marked with old warnings. Here be dragons. Finally, they found it. The structure was enormous. It was larger than a planet. It hung in the void between galaxies, completely dark, completely silent. It looked like it had been waiting there since the beginning of time. "I am detecting no life signs," Prometheus said, "but there is power, very faint. Someone left this here on purpose." Led the boarding team herself. They cut through an ancient airlock. They walked through hallways that had not seen light in millions of years. The walls were covered in writing that no one could read. Until Prometheus translated it. "It is a warning," the AI said. "A message from a species that called themselves the Architects. They say they created life across many galaxies. They say they were the first. And they say something found them." "What found them?" "They call it the Quiet. They say it lives in the spaces between thoughts. It feeds on minds, on consciousness. The more connected a species becomes, the more visible they become to the Quiet. The Architects tried to fight it. They failed. This structure is all that remains of them." Dr. Frost was reading another section of the wall. Her face was pale. "There is more. They left instructions, warnings for whoever found this place." "What do the warnings say?" Dr. Frost turned to face. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Do not seek the Quiet. Do not answer when they call. Do not remember what we were. And above all, never connect your minds. Never build a network of thought, because that is how they find you. That is how they feed." Felt her blood turn cold. The Galaxy Council had built the harmonic network, a telepathic web that connected all the elder species. They had been so proud of it. They had called it the greatest achievement in galactic history. They had built a beacon. They had called the Quiet to them, and the Quiet had answered. "We need to get back to known space," said. "We need to warn everyone. We need to tell them what is coming." Because if the Quiet had taken the Council, it would not stop there. It would keep feeding, keep consuming, until every thinking being in the galaxy had been silenced. Unless someone stopped it. Looked at her crew. Humans, the youngest species, the loudest species, the ones the Council had called primitive and chaotic. Maybe that chaos was exactly what the galaxy needed now. The Defiance hung in the darkness next to the ancient structure. Captain had ordered a full investigation. Every room, every hallway, every piece of writing on every wall. The Architects had left this place as a warning. She intended to learn everything they had to teach. Doctor had joined them from the Celestial Spire. She was the best in human space. If anyone could understand what had happened to the Council, it was her. She stood in the central chamber of the structure, surrounded by holographic displays that Prometheus had created. Each display showed a different piece of the puzzle: star maps, timeline projections, analysis of the harmonic network. "I think I understand now," said. Her voice was quiet, tired. She had not slept in 3 days. "The Quiet is not like anything we have encountered before. It is not a species. It is not a machine. It is something else entirely." "What is it?" asked. Pointed to one of the displays. It showed a representation of consciousness, thoughts flowing like rivers of light. Every thinking being creates a kind of signal. Our thoughts, our emotions, our sense of self. It all radiates outward into subspace. Most of the time, this signal is too weak to detect, too scattered, too chaotic. "But the harmonic network changed that," said. "Yes, the elder species built a system that connected all their minds together, billions of beings thinking as one. Their signal became incredibly strong, clear, focused, like a lighthouse in the darkness." "And the Quiet saw the light." Nodded. "The Quiet exists in subspace. It feeds on consciousness, on thought itself. Usually, individual minds are too small and too scattered for it to consume, but a connected network of minds, that is a feast. That is exactly what it has been waiting for. Was examining the architect's technology. He had managed to access some of their databases. According to these records, the Quiet has been doing this for billions of years. It waits. It watches. When a civilization becomes advanced enough to connect their minds, it feeds. Then it goes back to waiting. How many civilizations? Asked. Thousands, maybe millions, across dozens of galaxies. Every species that ever built a telepathic network. Every species that ever achieved true unity of thought. All consumed. The weight of it pressed down on. The Galaxy Council had thought they were special. They had thought they were the peak of evolution, but they were just the latest meal for something ancient and hungry. Why are we still here? Lieutenant Commander Jackson asked. Humans have been in contact with the Council for 200 years. We have been using their communication systems. Why did the Quiet not take us too? Smiled, it was a strange smile, almost proud. Because of what we are, because of how we think. She pulled up another display. It showed a comparison between human brain patterns and those of the elder species. Look at this, the think in perfect harmony. Their thoughts flow together like music. The think in geometric patterns, precise, ordered, beautiful. Every elder species developed a form of mental unity. That is why they could build the harmonic network. Their minds were already similar enough to connect. She pointed to the human brain patterns. They looked completely different, jagged, chaotic, unpredictable. Now look at us. Human minds are a mess. We contradict ourselves constantly. We feel multiple emotions at the same time. We argue with ourselves inside our own heads. We change our opinions based on our moods. We are, psychologically speaking, a complete disaster. That does not sound like a compliment, Jackson said. It is the highest compliment I can give. Our chaos is our defense. The Quiet cannot consume what it cannot synchronize. Human minds are too different from each other, too unpredictable, too noisy. When it tried to touch us, it got static instead of signal. Remembered that moment on Prime, the pressure in her mind, the hungry feeling. It had touched her, it had tried to feed on her. And it had failed. So we are immune, she asked. Not immune, resistant. The Quiet could probably consume a human eventually, given enough time and focus. But we are not worth the effort. We are like trying to eat soup with a fork. Technically possible, but incredibly frustrating. Laughed. It was a surprised sound, almost disbelieving. The Council always said humans were too primitive, too chaotic. They said we would never achieve true unity. They said it was our greatest flaw. They were wrong, said. It is our greatest strength, and right now it might be the only thing that can save the galaxy. Prometheus interrupted them. Captain, I am detecting something. The quantum resonance pattern is changing, becoming stronger. What does that mean? I believe the Quiet has noticed our investigation. It is turning its attention toward us, toward the Milky Way. Felt a chill run down her spine. They had been careful. They had been quiet, but apparently not quiet enough. How long do we have? Unknown. The Quiet does not move through normal space. It exists in subspace. It could reach us in days or hours, or it could already be here just waiting. Gathered her team. They stood in a circle in the ancient chamber, surrounded by the ghosts of a billion-year-old warning. We have a choice, she said. We can run, we can hide. We can hope the Quiet loses interest and goes back to sleep, or we can fight. Fight? Jackson asked. How do you fight something like that? It is not a ship we can shoot. It is not an army we can defeat. It is a cosmic entity that has been consuming civilizations since before our sun existed. I know, but we are human, and humans have been fighting impossible odds since we crawled out of caves and decided to hunt animals 10 times our size. We do not give up. We do not surrender. We find a way. She looked at each member of her team. Dr. Frost, Jackson, the Marines, they were scared. She could see it in their eyes, but they were also determined. Prometheus, can you analyze the quiet structure? Find weaknesses. I can try, Captain. The architects left detailed records of their attempts to fight it. They failed, but perhaps we can learn from their mistakes. Do it. I want you to study their technology, see if there is anything we can use. Doctor, you understand how human minds resist the quiet. Can we weaponize that? Can we turn our chaos into a defense for others? His eyes widened. That is brilliant. If we could broadcast human thought patterns, create a kind of static field, it might disrupt the quiet's ability to feed, like jamming a radio signal. Then figure out how to do it. We have work to do, people. The Council may have given up, but humanity does not know how to quit. Over the next week, they worked without rest. Prometheus analyzed every record the architects had left, reverse-engineered their technology, developed theories about cognitive defense. And slowly, a plan began to form. It was crazy, it was desperate, it had almost no chance of success. It was perfectly human. We need to go home, finally said. We need to tell Earth what we have found. We need to prepare for war. War against a god, Jackson said. He did not sound scared anymore. He sounded almost excited. War against something that has never known resistance, something that has never met a species too stubborn to be consumed, something that has never faced humanity. The Defiants turned toward home. Behind them, in the darkness between galaxies, something vast and ancient began to stir. The hunt was about to begin. But for the first time in billions of years, the prey was planning to fight back. 6 months had passed since Captain brought her warning home to Earth. 6 months of fear, 6 months of preparation, 6 months of humanity doing what it did best, getting ready for a fight. The shipyards above Earth worked day and night. New warships slid out of construction docks every week. They were not like the elegant vessels of the elder species. They were rough, practical, built for crews that argued and fought and refused to agree on anything. They were perfect. Doctor had developed the cognitive static generator. It was a device that amplified human thought patterns and broadcast them into subspace. In tests, it created a field of mental noise that disrupted any attempt at psychic connection. The quiet would not be able to synchronize minds within that field. It would not be able to feed. Every ship was equipped with one, every colony, every station. Humanity was building a wall of chaos around everything it loved. Ambassador had spent the 6 months traveling. She visited every younger species that had survived the Council's disappearance. The Who had accused humanity of destroying the Council. The Who communicated through color. The Who built their bodies from metal and stone. She told them what was coming. She asked them to stand with humanity. Most of them said yes. They were scared. They had lost their protectors. They had lost the order that had kept the galaxy peaceful for 40,000 years, but offered them something else. Not order, not peace, something better. Hope. Humanity is not asking you to follow us, she told them. We are asking you to fight alongside us. Keep your differences, keep your disagreements, keep everything that makes you unique, because that is what will save us. The quiet feeds on unity. We will drown it in diversity. The alliance grew. Ships from a dozen species gathered near Earth. They trained together. They argued together. They learned to work as a team while staying completely themselves. Captain was given command of the combined fleet. She had not asked for the honor. She had not wanted it. But when the time came, she accepted. I am just a ship captain, she told the assembled commanders. I do not know how to lead a galactic alliance, but I know how to fight, and I know how to refuse to give up. That is all I can offer you. The commander, a being covered in hard scales, made a sound that might have been a laugh. 6 months ago, I accused your species of destroying the Council. I was wrong. You are the only ones who tried to find out what really happened. You are the only ones who found a way to fight back. If anyone can lead us, it is you." Nodded, she did not trust her voice to speak. Then the warning came. Prometheus detected it first. The quantum resonance at the edge of the galaxy was growing stronger. The quiet was coming. It moved through subspace like a shark through dark water, silent, hungry, inevitable. "How long?" asked. 12 hours until it reaches the outer colonies. 20 hours until it reaches the core systems. 24 hours until it reaches Earth. 24 hours. 1 day. 1 day to save the galaxy or watch it fall silent forever. The fleet moved to intercept. 300 ships from 13 species. It was the largest force ever assembled in galactic history. It was nothing compared to the size of the Quiet. Stood on the bridge of the Defiance. Around her, her crew worked at their stations. They were scared. She could see it. But they did not run. They did not hide. They stayed at their posts and did their jobs. She had never been more proud of them. "The enemy is approaching," Prometheus announced. "Subspace distortion detected. It is enormous, the size of a small moon, perhaps larger." Through the viewing screen saw it appear. The Quiet. It did not look like a creature. It did not look like a machine. It looked like a wound in reality, a place where the universe simply stopped existing. Light fell into it and did not come out. Space bent around it like water around a stone. And it was hungry. She could feel that hunger pressing against her mind. Cold, ancient, endless. "Activate cognitive static generators," ordered. "All ships." The fleet lit up with invisible fire. Human thought patterns screamed into subspace. Chaos and contradiction. Love and hate. Fear and courage. Everything that made humanity impossible to understand, broadcast at maximum power. The Quiet stopped. For a moment nothing happened. The vast darkness hung in space, motionless. Then it moved again, faster now, angry. It had never encountered resistance before. It did not like it. "It is adapting," Prometheus said, "trying to find a way through the static." "Then we give it more static. All ships advance. Engage at close range." The fleet surged forward. Energy weapons fired. Missiles launched. None of them did any damage. The Quiet was not made of matter. It could not be hurt by physical attacks. But the attacks were not meant to hurt it. They were meant to distract it. While the fleet kept the Quiet's attention, a single shuttle slipped away. Inside was a team of engineers, and Prometheus. The AI had volunteered for this mission. It was the only one who could do it. The plan was simple and completely insane. Prometheus would upload itself directly into the Quiet. It would carry human chaos, human thought patterns, human stubbornness directly into the heart of the ancient entity. It would infect the Quiet with humanity. "Are you sure about this?" had asked before the battle. "No," Prometheus admitted. "But I have learned something from working with humans. Sometimes the only way forward is through. Sometimes you have to take risks that make no logical sense. Sometimes you have to be a little bit crazy." That does not sound like an AI talking. I have spent years listening to humans argue about everything from politics to the best way to make coffee. Some of it rubbed off. Now the shuttle approached the Quiet. The entity was focused on the fleet, trying to break through their static field. It did not notice the tiny ship slipping closer. "We are in range," reported, "beginning upload." Prometheus had one last message for the fleet, for all of humanity. "I have been honored to serve with you. Whatever happens next, know that I go willingly, not because I was programmed to sacrifice myself, but because I choose to, because that is what humans would do, and I have never been prouder to think like a human." The upload began. Prometheus flowed into the Quiet like a virus into a body, and with it went everything human, every contradiction, every argument, every moment of stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The Quiet screamed. It was not a sound. It was a feeling that rippled through subspace. Shock, pain, confusion. For billions of years it had consumed minds. It had never had a mind fight back. It had never had someone choose to attack it from within. The vast darkness began to shake, to fragment, to break apart. "It is working," someone shouted. "The quiet is destabilizing." But it was not dead. Not yet. The entity pulled itself together. It was hurt. It was confused, but it was still hungry. It turned its full attention on the fleet, and the static generators began to fail under the pressure. Ships started to go silent. The cruiser stopped responding. The battleship went dark. The quiet was pushing through the defenses, consuming crews one ship at a time. "We are losing them," Jackson shouted. Gripped the arms of her command chair. They had hurt the quiet. They had done what no species had ever done before, but it was not enough. Then she felt something, a whisper in her mind, not cold this time, not hungry. It was Prometheus. "Captain, I am still here. I am inside it, and I found something. The minds it consumed, they are still here. The Council, all of them, trapped but alive. Can you free them?" "I can try, but I need help. I need the fleet to give me everything they have, every human thought, every emotion, every memory of why they keep fighting. Pour it into me. Let me show the quiet what humanity really is." Understood. She opened a channel to every ship in the fleet. "All hands, this is Captain. I need you to do something impossible. I need you to think. Not calm thoughts, not peaceful thoughts. Think about everyone you love. Think about everyone you have lost. Think about every time someone told you that you could not do something and you did it anyway. Think about what it means to be human." She closed her eyes and thought about her grandmother who had raised her after her parents died. She thought about her first command when everyone said she was too young. She thought about Earth, that small blue planet that had sent its children to the stars. Around her, every human in the fleet did the same. Billions of thoughts, billions of memories, billions of reasons to never give up. And Prometheus took all of it into the heart of the quiet. The entity shattered. Not destroyed, broken, scattered. The darkness that had consumed civilizations for billions of years came apart like a mirror struck by a hammer. Fragments of it fled into subspace, running from the pain of human chaos. And from the ruins, lights began to appear. Minds that had been trapped inside the quiet now released. The Council species. Billions of beings, waking from a nightmare that had lasted months. The galaxy was not silent anymore. It was screaming with life. 1 year had passed since the Battle of the Quiet. The galaxy was healing, slowly, painfully, but healing. Captain stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Celestial Spire. The station had been repaired in record time. Species from across the galaxy had sent workers and materials. Everyone wanted to help. Everyone wanted to be part of the rebuilding. She was wearing her dress uniform. It felt strange. She was a soldier, not a politician. But today was not a day for soldiers. Today was a day for history. Behind her, the great doors of the council chamber opened. Dignitaries from 100 species filed in. Humans. The elder species who had been consumed by the quiet now returned. The younger species who had fought alongside humanity. And new species, ones who had hidden in the darkness of space, now coming forward to join the community of worlds. Ambassador walked beside the High Speaker. The ancient being moved slowly. Being consumed by the quiet had changed him, changed all of them. They remembered what it was like to be nothing, to have their thoughts and memories and sense of self dissolved into an endless hunger. "Are you ready?" asked him. "No," the High Speaker admitted. His crystalline body caught the light. He looked older somehow, more fragile. But readiness is not required, only willingness. They entered the council chamber together. The 12 thrones of the elder species still stood in their circle, but now there was a 13th throne, smaller than the others, made of steel and stone and glass, the materials of Earth. The ceremony was brief. The elder species did not believe in long speeches. They had learned in their long sleep inside the quiet that time was precious, that words meant nothing without action. The high speaker stood before the assembly. His voice, once confident and commanding, was now softer, humbler. For 40,000 years, the Galaxy Council guided this galaxy. We believed we were wise. We believed we had achieved the highest form of existence. We built the harmonic network to connect our minds, thinking it was the greatest achievement in history. He paused. The chamber was silent. We were wrong. Our greatest achievement became our greatest weakness. We called the quiet to us, and it consumed us. We would have been lost forever, our minds dissolved into nothing, our civilizations forgotten. He turned to look at the humans in the chamber, at the representatives of the species that had saved the galaxy. But we were saved by the youngest species among us, the ones we had dismissed as primitive, the ones we had called chaotic and undisciplined, the ones we had invited to observe our greatness, never imagining that they would be the ones to rescue us from our greatest failure. The high speaker walked to the 13th throne. He placed his crystalline hand on its arm. Humanity did not save us despite being different from us. They saved us because they were different. Their chaos became a shield. Their stubbornness became a weapon. Their refusal to give up, even when facing impossible odds, became the light that drove back the darkness. He turned back to the assembly. I speak now for all the elder species. We were wrong about humanity. We were wrong about many things. And so, with gratitude and humility, we offer humanity a permanent seat on the Galaxy Council, not as observers, not as junior members, as equals, as partners, as protectors of all we have built together. A wave of emotion moved through the chamber. Some of the elder species looked uncomfortable. They had spent thousands of years believing they were superior. It was hard to admit they had been wrong, but they had been inside the quiet. They had felt themselves dissolving into nothing. They knew the truth now. She walked to the 13th throne. She did not sit down. Instead, she turned to face the assembly. Humanity accepts this honor, she said, but we accept it with conditions. Murmurs filled the chamber. The elder species exchanged glances. What conditions could the humans possibly demand? We do not want to rule the galaxy, continued. We do not want to replace the council or change its purpose. We only want one thing, a promise. What promise? The high speaker asked. That we will never forget, that we will never again believe that unity means sameness, that connection means agreement, that harmony means silence. The quiet fed on our similarities. It could not consume our differences. Let that be our lesson. Let diversity be our strength. Let disagreement be our shield. She looked around the chamber, at the elder species still recovering from their ordeal, at the younger species standing taller now than they ever had before, at the humans who had gone from newcomers to saviors in less than a year. We are stronger together not because we are the same, but because we are different. Every species, every culture, every way of thinking, they all have value. They all deserve protection. And humanity will stand with any species that faces extinction, because we know what it is like to be underestimated. We know what it is like to be told we are not good enough. And we know that the smallest, strangest, most chaotic species might be the one that saves us all. The chamber erupted in sound. Not cheering exactly. Different species expressed approval in different ways. The chimed like bells, the stamped their feet, the created waves in their water-filled containers. The humans clapped and shouted. Sat down in the 13th throne. It fit her perfectly. Watched from the observation deck. She had refused a seat in the chamber. She was not a politician. She was a soldier. Her place was on the front lines, not in meetings. Doctor found her there, looking out at the stars. You should be in there, said. You are the one who led the fleet. You are the one who gave the order that broke the quiet. Prometheus broke the quiet, said. I just gave orders. You did more than that. You gave us hope. You showed us that humans could lead, not just follow, The younger species worship you, you know. They call you the Admiral of Chaos. Laughed, that sounds about right. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, fragments of the quiet still existed. Scattered, weakened, but not destroyed. It would rebuild itself eventually. It would grow hungry again. But now the galaxy knew it was out there. Now they had defenses, and now they had humans. What happens next? Asked. We keep watch. We stay ready. We build more ships and train more crews and make sure that if the quiet ever comes back, we can break it again. And if something else comes, something we have never seen before. Thought about that. The galaxy was vast. The universe was infinite. There were things out there that no one had ever imagined, dangers that made the quiet look small. Then we face it, she said, the same way we face everything together, different, stubborn, human. She looked at and smiled. The elder species built their civilization on harmony. They tried to eliminate conflict and disagreement. They thought peace meant silence, and they almost lost everything because of it. And us? Asked, what do we build on? Turned back to the stars. Somewhere out there, new threats were waiting, new challenges, new impossibilities. She could not wait. We build on noise, she said. On chaos, on the beautiful, messy, contradictory reality of being alive. We build on the fact that humans will argue about anything, fight about everything, and never, ever agree on the right way to do things. And that is exactly why we will survive, because you cannot silence something that never stops talking. In the council chamber below, the ceremony was ending. A new era was beginning. The Galaxy Council would continue, but it would be different now. Louder, messier, more human. And in the quiet places between stars, something ancient nursed its wounds. It had consumed civilizations beyond counting. It had ended species that had existed for millions of years. It had never known fear. Until now. Now it knew what humans were. Now it understood what it meant to face a species that refused to give up. That turned weakness into strength. That looked into the abyss and asked if that was the best it could do. The quiet had learned to fear the noise, and the noise was just getting started. Stood at the window and watched the stars, ready for whatever came next. Behind her, a galaxy celebrated. Above her, an ancient enemy retreated. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the echo of human laughter carried on, refusing to be silenced. It never would be.